It's so good to see you. Scooter LaForge, artist.
Yes.
Yes. I feel like I we have known each other for a really long time, but not very well. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I've known
Absolutely not very well at all. And it's been a
you. I've
long time.
yeah, yeah. I have still a picture you made for me. You probably have no recollection. It was in 2010. I only know that because you put the date at the bottom, and there's a
Yeah.
picture of myself smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'll
vaguely remember that.
I'll have to find it and then send you back a picture of it because it really has this weird sort of like vibe of like I swear it looks like Madonna from like Papa Don't Preach
Oh my
era.
God, that's amazing.
I will find
That's
it and like
yeah.
show you what it was, but I still have that. It's at my apartment in San Francisco. It's like when you get a point where you have so much artwork you don't possibly have any wall space at all. Oh my
Oh
god,
yeah.
my camera's pointing at my hallway. That damn cat. Oh,
Oh.
that this background is much more soothing.
Okay. There
Anyways,
we go.
I'm usually all about chaos, but the whole last minute like camera unplugged threw me for a loop.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, so you're in New York City right now?
Yeah, I'm in New York City now, in the East
Okay.
Village, in my apartment.
Have you been in the same apartment for a long time?
No, I've moved 3 times. So, I've had a few different apartments here. But
Okay,
yeah,
because I know some
yeah.
I know some people have been in like I love those stories of like I've been in this apartment for 3 decades and like
Oh my
they've
God, yeah.
they've had successful careers and so they're not staying there sort of like at a pricing or
That
anything. It's
that
just like this
happens.
like
Yeah. That
nos-
happens here totally.
yeah. So as far as I've always known you, I feel like you live, breathe, eat, shit, fuck, art. I feel like your life is just art. Like some people, I feel like they do art, they do other things, but I just feel like your life is just art.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, I did it in San Francisco for 10 years and I've been here for since 2001. So that's 24 years. That's 34 years in total. And then I studied art in college. So that's another 4 years. And that's going on 38 years.
What?
So
That is
that's a long
crazy.
time, right?
That is a long time, and I really feel like I've seen and your work like evolve, but always sort of stay true to like the fun. Sometimes I think back in the day, I immediately think of like Popeye or Mickey
Hmm. Yeah,
Mouse,
it has to evolve, right? I don't
right?
think it can't not evolve. I mean,
Right.
everything goes through all those changes. But yeah, you got that. Yeah,
I
definitely.
I've done my
You
research.
did your
What?
research.
No,
Yeah.
but you're one of those people I've like have had fun watching. Sort of like I don't think we knew each other when we were in San
You had
Francisco.
a
Like I've
magazine.
yeah, called
I
Accidental
I
Bear.
was I was involved with that a few
Yeah,
times. And then no, I
yeah.
didn't know you in San Francisco, but I was heavy onto the art scene and the club scene in San Francisco. I worked at Tranny Shack for
Yeah.
years,
Okay.
and I
Bless,
had
rest
my
in
own
peace,
clubs there.
Heclina.
Yeah, Eklina was a very close, good friend of mine. Pippi is still a good, close
Uh,
friend.
have you been in contact with Pippi or seen
Yeah,
Pippi since
I
she's
see.
had her
I've
quadruple amputation, right?
yes, I've seen her at her home where she lives in Palm Springs, and I'm
Palm
going to go see her
Springs.
again. And then I'm good friends with Juanita Moore, Anna Matronic,
Sure.
Darlin. Um, I keep in touch with all my San Francisco people. They've all kind of
That is,
spread out. Portia
yeah.
666, do you remember her?
She, Portia 666, she lives, I have my apartment in San Francisco still on Buchanan Street, and she lives just 2 blocks away from me.
Yeah,
And somehow that bitch has done well. She lives in some
yeah,
beautiful, huge mansion on the corner.
yes.
And to me and my husband, when we walk by, we always jokingly say, maybe one day we'll get an invite to that beautiful
I
home.
think you will. I think you will.
Yeah. It's like I don't know Portia well, but these are all characters like you've mentioned, I know their names, and that's probably why I didn't know you in San Francisco. I used to be really freaking shy. And so you just named sort of like a handful of people that I know and respect, like them for being like public characters and stuff like that. But I think I was like probably terrified of them back then because I was sort of
I was
shy.
there from 89 to 2001. Were
Yeah,
you
we
there?
overlapped. I
Yeah,
was
I
there
thought
from
I
92 to 97, and then I came back in 2005. I lived in Hawaii for
Oh
years.
wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
I
crazy
know.
talk.
Peaches, you know, Mr. David, Magda, a
And I
lot
also
of
know
people.
Kenny Fraser also.
Kenny Fraser. Oh yeah.
Wait, why am I completely spacing out his drag name? Kenny Wonder. Kenny Wonder.
Yeah. I
He's
remember
also
Kenny
now
Wonder from a club called Screw. Do you remember that
yeah,
club? Yeah.
yeah. I think Kenny also is now in Palm Springs. I know he's battling a health issue, which kills me
Okay.
to see. But
Yeah.
anyhow, I didn't come on here to like get depressed. I just want to catch up and see what you're doing, see how you're doing. I left the scene for a bit because I became a zookeeper. Side story. So I care for animals, and I work at the safari park here in San Francisco or San Diego. But I left the art world, the sort of like queer scene for a while, and then I saw now that there was a documentary, A Life of Art, um, about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a documentary out. It's free on Tubi, and you just have to
Okay,
watch commercials. And
gotcha.
the director's name is Ethan Minsker, and it took him
Gotcha.
about 3 years to convince me to do it. And then we filmed all together. The project took 10 years to
Oh wow.
make, and he followed me all over the place and took footage from all over here and there, from painting murals, doing stuff here, doing stuff there, art openings, going to visit my dad in New Mexico and Arizona,
Yeah.
going to San Francisco, Texas, here all over the place.
Yeah.
So
That is crazy. How was it having like the camera crew follow you? I mean,
you
that's
get
sort of
used
like
to it. You
how
get used to
reality
it.
TV works. I mean,
Yeah.
you're basically Kim Kardashian. Let's just
You
say
get
it.
used to it, and then you have to really like monitor what you say, because
Oh,
you start to say stuff you don't want people to hear that
yeah.
you say in public. So you're kind of like,
Yeah, because
you
then it's
know,
like documented and they're
yeah.
like,
So we talked about that, and I
sure.
never signed an agreement yet. I still haven't signed a release form yet. So um,
Oh,
he
interesting. So
didn't
like,
he's very respectful. He didn't put anything in when I was talking shit or you
yeah.
know all that
It's funny.
stuff.
I was curious if you had any sort of editing power because you say stuff. I say stuff on the podcast sometimes, and I just because I have a lot of unfiltered thoughts, and I say things, and then I think it's funny at the time, and then I go back to edit it. I'm like, you know what? That may be not funny to everybody, or might be insulting. We all have those thoughts. Like
It's
maybe I should have
true.
kept that
It's true.
inside.
Yeah, definitely. That's so true. You never know. And sometimes you don't want people to know. People don't have
Yeah.
to know everything about you, right, Mike?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I try to hold that back in for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because the world sort of. I wrote down here like the queer world of art. Um, like, is there any other competition or drama involved, or do you feel like at New York City and worldwide, other artists being supportive of your work?
I've never felt competition. I don't think there's competition in the art world. There might be in acting,
Yeah.
in
Gotcha.
photography, or dance. I don't know, maybe dancing. But in painting
Sure.
and
Sure.
art, I've never felt that, because we're all on our own. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't felt
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's
So,
probably good that it's not
yeah,
kind of entered into your like world because it can be like a burden, I guess.
it
It's even if you're
is.
not involved in it, it's just like sort of like a negative space.
And I feel that maybe in performing and musicians, actors, singers, dancers, maybe there's more competition there, but not in painting, because painting, you
Yeah,
just do it in your studio by yourself. You're alone
right.
the whole time.
It's just so subjective. A few years ago, like in the world, like, because when you put yourself out there to the world, there's going to be people that like you, people that don't like you,
Yeah.
people that have judgments. But
Yeah.
a couple years ago, I was involved in some drama that I didn't even know I was involved in that was so inaccurate. Like, a friend of mine told me that he heard from somebody that I talked shit about him, and he was an artist, and then now his friends don't like me, and I'm just like, and then I heard like more detail, and it was just so, it was almost hurtful because it wasn't true at all. I'd never said
Oh
any
my
of
God.
these like bad things about this artist. And it was also an artist that I to today really much like and support and have supported. But this false narrative happened, and now there's like this, we now we have like a shit stained relationship because he heard this
Oh.
through people, and
Oh
it's just a
yeah.
bummer.
I can't
Yeah, and it's
imagine
like
that about you.
yeah, and there's well, thank you. I do say stuff sometimes, but like this particular incident, it's an artist that I truly respect and enjoy his work, and it was like, and you can't really tell them anything, but like that
Yeah.
was
But you
completely
know what?
false.
Fuck those people
Yeah,
who started that. I
I'm still
mean,
learning. I'm still learning. Maybe this is something like you sort of always have to work on. Like, not everybody's gonna like you, and that's hard for me because I'm one of those people that waste so much energy every day to make everybody like me. But that's something I'm still working on.
well, I'm glad that you voiced it and that you know it's there, but it's true. Not everyone's going to like you.
Oh yeah,
And
shit. Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
mean through
and it
artwork,
doesn't matter.
you get that through artwork and critics. I'm sure. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if anyone ever says anything, you just like you have to like, what is Jinx's thing? Duck off a water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
Some
You
shit
just
like
have to
that.
surround yourself with the people that like you and don't look at the people that don't like you.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna pull myself back in because I feel like we're just having a chit chat at the coffee shop. But I want
Okay.
to ask you about your artwork and your subject matter. Where do you pull your subject matter from? I see a lot of it reflects like things going on around the world in the gay community, but then sometimes you just like have these things that you put on canvas. I'm like, what the hell was he thinking? Where did that come from?
It's from living here in the city. Your scope is, I feel like in San Francisco my scope and my vision was 180 degrees, and then when you move to New York City it turns into 360 degrees.
Mm,
And there's always something happening here. And you walk out your door and there's millions and millions of inspirational of people that are inspiring, things that are inspiring, buildings, bugs, animals, um, birds, the sky. It just, there's a bombardment with inspiring stuff here because this
right,
town
right.
is like never ending. It's 24 hours nonstop, all day, all night. You walk out on the street here, there's always people around. Always.
Yeah, I see some of the combinations of things you have in like a one piece of art, and it's just like it's brilliant, it's chaotic, it's crazy because you have like an
Yeah.
animal and there's plants and then there's like some sort of like city in there. I don't know. It's just like sometimes when an artist will like use really ugly colors together, but it works. I feel like sometimes you just
Yeah.
use like these random subject matters, but you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
working and it's making me
It's a reflective of the lifestyle here and the
right.
chaotic environment that this city portrays. I think a lot of people that live here and do artwork here, you can tell
Yeah.
that their artwork is from New York City.
It's very eclectic sort of as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
then like
many
there's a
influences.
San Francisco vibe. If you move to
Yeah.
the country, where do you live right now?
You know, I moved to San Diego 2 years ago, so it's
I'm
like
sure
so
there's a
it's a,
San Diego vibe,
yeah. There's a little more beach vibe here, which I
beach.
really
Yeah.
love. Yeah,
So
I like.
everything's contingent on the environment you live in. I'm sure if I moved
Yeah,
to a small town, it would change.
that would be such an interesting sort of like study. Like
Yeah.
send you to Paris for a year to do artwork. Then next year, send you to like Thailand to do artwork, and just see what would come out
Yeah.
of you with the influence of like your environment. That would be really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Like look at the paintings of, do you know who Jackson Pollock is?
Yeah,
You remember,
absolutely.
you know his work? He did splatter
Yeah,
paint, and
yeah.
he lived on 4th Street here. I live on 3rd Street in the East Village. Do you know this area?
I know it a little bit. Not well.
Okay, well, anyways, his paintings are very chaotic, very city, very um, anxiety ridden. So, you can just tell from people that live in New York City or involved in the
Yeah.
city their work. There's a lot of
Yeah.
anxiety here, a lot of excitement,
All of
lines,
it.
people fighting, gunshots, deaths, murders, fights on the subway,
Right.
you know,
That also.
protests, police
Oh yeah.
brutality, everything. So yeah, it can be a tough city to live in.
Yeah, that's also like inspiring, but also can be like
Yeah,
overwhelming,
can
I
work
imagine, for some people.
your last nerve.
Yes. You're like, I'm just gonna
That's why
go to.
people go crazy here.
Yeah, I'm just going down to the CVS to get me some Advil.
Yeah,
And along the way, you
yeah.
could encounter all
You
those
get hit
things you
by a
just mentioned.
car. You see someone get
A
stabbed.
bicycle.
A bicycle. Yeah.
I saw, I think of, was that show? Do you know there's a TV show called High Maintenance? It was like this little short lived, all about a weed dealer. The guy who lived, I think it was New York City, and he drove his bicycle around New York City and delivered weed. It was called High Maintenance. It was such like a vibe of
Yeah.
New York City because he
Yeah.
was on his
Yeah.
bike, and every incident he'd have some sort of moment and interaction with like New York City's people. And it was
Yeah.
like, anyways.
Yeah.
So your trajectory as an artist, I've seen from like feels like local artist to like sort of international artists, and I've seen some of the people you have worked with and worked. I don't know if for or with is the right word, but I've
Hmm.
seen you rubbing shoulders, elbows, fannies with like people like Debbie Harry, Patricia Field. And whenever I've seen you doing some fun stuff like collab or just with Debbie Harry or doing something for her, that makes so much sense to me for some reason. Like of course you have done things for Debbie Harry. Um, I don't know. How has that been for you? Like sort of like your artwork being seen much more globally in like a celebrity type status, right? You've done some really cool shit.
Yeah. I'm in the
I want
center
you to
of a.
toot your own horn.
I'm in the center of a. Do you know how it is to feel like when you're in the center of a hurricane?
I
It's still in there. It's very still,
okay.
and then there's a hurricane going on around you, and you don't know about that, and you're
Yeah.
seeing the stuff that's going around me. But I'm still alone, and I still work in my studio every day.
In the
Yes, Debbie
middle.
Harry came over, and we painted her portrait, and I've done dresses for her, and I
Right.
see her a lot, and she's very generous and if we're out at a party, she'll give me a ride home, and
Right.
very cool. She's been around for a long time, since the late 60s. So
Yeah.
she's seen and done a lot. And
Yeah.
Patricia Field is my neighbor. She lives right across the street here. I see her almost every day.
Of course,
And
these are like high profile people. That's sort of why I'm asking about them, you know? So it's
yeah,
just like, I mean, you interact with many people that I haven't mentioned as well, but those are just some of the
yeah,
high profile ones. I'm like, fuck. I'm almost like, we don't know each other well, like we said, but I'm like, I'm proud of you, sort
thank
of like
you.
in a
No,
way.
it's just living here. They
Yeah.
become part of your, if you're artistic or you know doing something long enough, you're going to run into everyone here. So
Yeah.
Debbie Harry, I met her through a friend of mine named Miss Guy. Do you know who Miss Guy is? From the Toilet
Only from
Boys?
the only from the internet. And I know the Toilet
Okay,
Boys, yeah, but
yeah. Debbie, Miss Guy gave Debbie a painted T-shirt of mine for her birthday, and then Debbie and I became friends. And then I did a bunch of clothes for Debbie, and then we did the painting together,
sure.
and we just connected as friends. Like,
Yeah.
we just had that bond.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm at least my cat's about to try to destroy the set again. Um anyways, that's very cool. Like I don't know. I'm still like a teenager in my mind, and when you mention all these like cool people and cool things, like I get so nervous and be like, "Oh my god, I'm so uncool." Like
Oh yeah.
so that's why I'm
No,
sort
you're
of, and it's
cool.
not like
You're
I
cool. You're cool.
it's sort of like I know it's not like a like stuff self-deprecating thing, but it's just sort of like I
Yeah.
just when I never feel like I fit in with the cool kids, even when I feel like I sort of feel like yeah I've never cool kids scare me, like not popular kids like in high school and shit like that, but
Yeah, the
like
cool
cool
kids,
kids,
right?
cool They scare me a little bit. Even in San Francisco during like those tranny shack years, like I was in it from like, cause I was lived there 92 to 97 and I was
Yeah.
out for the very first tranny shack and all of like Steve Lady and all that good stuff. But cool kids scare me. They've always
Oh my
scared me and they
God.
still today
Wow.
scare me. And I'm 52.
Oh my God.
52.
That's,
Yeah.
I think that's really adorable and very innocent, and I like that.
It's scary. So what are you working on right now? Are you working on any sort of project? I saw you were in Massachusetts. There's like a retrospective of Scooter
Yeah,
LaForge, and like, how weird is that to be like this living dude person with life ahead of him, and there's like a retrospective of you.
it's 30 years of paintings, and we had to get some stuff from collectors in San Francisco and here
Gotcha.
and Russia and some other places, and we just gathered them all together, and then we put them in a beautiful space at Lesley University in Cambridge, and it's up for 4 months, and it took us 10 years to get that show going, but it was a friend of mine, Andrew, who is the curator and who runs that museum over there. We just got it done. We raised the money together, or he did it, and got all the funds to get all this work over there. And I'll be back and forth for the next
That's
4 months
amazing.
doing talks and stuff.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so much work. You can't, and it's like one of those things you can't do all by yourself.
I
You
didn't
need a
do
team,
anything,
right?
I didn't do anything.
Uh,
I did nothing.
well, yeah.
I
But
really
guess
didn't.
then you have
All
to.
I did was I just got the work together. They did everything.
Wow, that's amazing. How did you put together this team? You sort of have to trust them to like
I
keep within
sent
sort of your
everything I
vision.
had.
You need a vision.
He curated it. It was his vision. I just let everything go, and I sent a lot of stuff, and then he picked out what he wanted to hang. So they have a lot of stuff in the back stock that's not shown.
Yeah.
But I didn't. It was really effortless and easy to get that done.
Oh, that's amazing. That's sometimes I love the living on the West Coast, but a lot of times so much happens on the East Coast. And I'm just like, it's too far away for me to see, you know? It's just like so much. I'm born and raised in upstate New York. So I am like
It's
New
cold
Yorker
up
at
there.
heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, up Ithaca, New York.
Yeah, I know
born
that.
and raised.
I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little nice.
I'm from
hippie.
New Mexico, down in the heat, so I ended up here.
I think I knew that about you.
Yeah.
Somehow. That is crazy where we all
But I
end
still
up.
feel like I'm from there. Do you feel like you're an Ithaca dude?
You know,
Or
when
are
I
you,
go,
are you California
I used to.
man?
I've been in California longer than I was in upstate New York. But when I go when I left upstate New York, I left as soon as possible because I was just like, and I wasn't in New York City, I was upstate New York, so I left as fast as possible to San Francisco. But now that I'm older and I go back to Ithaca, New York, and I'm just like, I'm like the vibe, the mellowness, it's like a little hippie folk town. I just strutting at the farmer's market in my little Birkenstocks, and there's all the hippie boys that I'm obsessed with, like selling organic apples, and I'm just like, this is me. This is me. So I do feel that when I'm back in upstate New York, the vibe, I'm like, yeah, these are my people.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing, both of us are not in our 20s anymore. How have you feel and how are you taking care of yourself as we become elders in the LGBT community? Is there anything?
I love that. Yes. I drink a lot of water.
You do. That's so good for you.
I drink water. I play pickleball.
Dude, look, I wrote down on my notes because I was just doing some research this morning, and I was looking at your Instagram like, oh, there's a pickleball picture, and I was like, oh, he may play pickleball, and then I rolled down and I saw more pickleball
Yeah.
pictures.
I
And I was like,
do tournaments and play a lot
who is
here.
this
and-
guy?
yeah. So that
You're
I
a
do
jock.
that keeps I'm a jock now.
You're a
And
jock now. Okay.
that keeps me active and keeps the brain working. I do my artwork, and I just I'm just be free and have fun. I mean, we are elders in the gay community.
Yeah. People
In the
hate when I start bringing about this up, but like this has
Yeah.
been, I feel like, the most enlightening intro to the conversations I've ever had.
Yeah.
Because people are immediately like, oh, fuck, he's going to categorize me as an elder, which means I'm an old person, which means this.
No,
I'm like,
we
I
went
saw
through
you smile.
the AIDS epidemic in San
Yeah.
Francisco. I did a little bit more than you because I saw it.
Yeah.
from the late 80s to the early 90s. So I saw Castro Street with
Right.
like
Like the
uh,
flyers being put up
the
about gay cancer and
flyers
stuff.
at Walgreens and KS and all the outward symptoms and characteristics of AZT,
Mm,
people dying in 6 months, like muscle men, like big, beautiful muscle guys. I used to go
right.
dance at Club Universe. Do you remember that place?
Yes, I
Like they
remember.
had
Yeah.
beautiful muscle guys, and then all of a sudden they would be human skeletons and then they would die.
Yeah. Like in a very short, very, very short time.
Yeah, because it was meth mixed with AIDS. Because
Ugh.
meth hit San Francisco. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, you know what? Meth hit San Francisco hard.
It
It's
hit it
taken
hard.
it taken yeah, it took so many of friends. I remember because when I was working on Haight Street, I was working at a clothing store called Villains, like a very hipster
Yeah, I know
store up at
villains.
Haight
Yeah.
Street, and I worked there for years, and it was taking friends left and right, meth,
Oh
meth,
yeah.
meth, meth. And then with the compound of health issues, oh, it destroyed you. And that's like one of those things I've always told people. Like sometimes with alcoholism and stuff like that, you can stop drinking and like you can kind of maintain some of yourself, but meth just takes you away and you don't come back. Like destroys people,
Yeah.
which is sad.
So I was there to see that all through the late 80s and 90s and lost a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know.
So here we are, and how does that affect your work in any
Oh
way?
God,
Like just
yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God, absolutely. It
yeah,
affects my whole life still, and
yeah.
boyfriends and my old boss died of AIDS. You know, it just affects everything that
Yeah,
I
my
lived through that.
yeah. I have sort of like moments in time. Also, like one of my roommates in San Francisco. There's 90. I think it was 97. He passed away. So it was like not the
Yeah.
80s, but it was like the early like mid 90s, and he passed away from like having HIV for a long time. And then he had he had an at home sort of he took a bunch of drugs to, I mean, facilitated suicide,
Yeah.
but he had also had to suffer through brain
Well,
cancer
I support
twice,
that.
nuts
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah,
And so,
that's
and I
tough.
was there with him. I remember the day he was planning his, like, now I use the word euthanasia, but that he was getting up out of his bed to get me a glass of water on the day of. And I think about that and it just sort of still destroys me. He was like, this human being, that was choosing to end his own life because of like the struggle. Yeah. Here's to being alive.
Hmm.
Well, you look great. Like,
Thank
you know what I
you. So
mean?
do you, Mike. Right back at
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Because, like, aging, a lot of times, physicality is the one thing that sort of like starts breaking down and people get really depressed about. But, like, this is probably something I shouldn't say out loud. But, like, I wanted to probably fuck you 20 years ago and I probably wanted more today. Boom.
Well, come over.
Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say. That was probably
Come
one of
over
those
right
thoughts.
now.
Fuck. That's probably one of those things we talked about at the beginning. I maybe shouldn't have said out loud, but like, you look great.
Thank you.
You look fantastic, and you
Thanks,
seem to be
Mike.
doing well and thriving. I don't feel like your career. Sometimes with a retrospective, I feel like someone's career may have peaked, but I feel like you're still
Yeah,
at the top of
there's a
that
lot of
wave.
yeah, I have a lot of cool stuff coming out. Do you know that show White Lotus?
Yes, who
I have
doesn't?
some stuff coming out in this next series. Painted
What?
garments at that's going to be in that film, and I work with the costume designer
I
Alex.
just got goosebumps.
Yeah, so
I fully just
that's
got
really
goosebumps. 'Cause I'm so
cool.
proud of you.
Yeah,
That's very cool because
I'm
everybody
very
knows
excited
that
about
because
that.
the gays. What is it? The gays are trying to kill you. Or
Yes,
the gays are Jennifer. Yeah.
and I did stuff with them in the first season too. So, that's I've been doing a lot of costume design with a
Right.
lot of costume designers here, which is very fortunate. And then I license a lot of paintings out to movies and television here. So, there's little bits and pieces of since I'm on the road less traveled as an artist, you got to find
Yeah.
ways to make money. Like you work in the zoo,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
you get a
not.
regular paycheck in the zoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a very
Exactly.
cool job, but
Yeah.
I have to really still struggle and
It's
find
a
my way.
hustle.
It
Like
is.
even when you've made it, you know what I mean? Like put your resume on paper. They're like people probably assume this dude is just like rolling. You know what I mean? Because like all the cool things you just told me. There's the pictures and paintings and wardrobes and
Yeah.
But it's a hustle, right? You got to
Yeah,
keep,
it's still a hustle. That's the name of the artist. No matter how successful you are or how far you get in your field, you always have to hustle.
right? You
Always.
got, well, I guess it's also, you have to keep yourself current and sort of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you got to hip or not, I don't know those words hip. I've never cared about being hip. Um, but yeah, you just got to keep yourself
Look at Debbie
reinventing yourself.
Harry. She's
Yeah.
still on tour. She's on the Gucci ads. She's doing this. She still hustles all over the place. Her
Yeah.
books, television, movies,
Yeah.
fashion,
Who is,
Madonna. Look at
yeah, oh,
her. She's
that's true.
still on top of everything. Now
Is
she's
there,
doing a new record.
I love that. So like her boyfriends always stay the same age, and that's
And the
not
boyfriends
shade.
always stay the same age.
That's not shade or anything. I just saw. I don't really pay too much attention, but I saw just an article the other day about her, and of course they're doing age contrast, and they're like, "This is her 17-year-old dancer boyfriend. He wasn't
Yeah.
17, but good for." Is there an artist out there that you I would love to work with, like, or just collab with, or that you see and you're like, I could see doing something with this artist. Our vibes would just collaborate well.
God. Yeah, a lot of people. I
Yeah.
mean, I would do it. I would collaborate with anyone. I
Yeah.
really would.
Right.
I pretty much say yes to everything. So yeah, it doesn't matter who
That's
I
why you're
do.
doing this piddly little podcast today, because you say yes to
No,
everything. No,
I
but
want to collaborate with you, and we're doing
yes.
that today.
Well, it's just funny because like I leaving this for a while and then kind of coming back to it because I miss communicating with like creative types and like and I've always feared living an ordinary life. Even as a little kid in upstate New York, I like never wanted that a
Yeah, don't
boring
do it. Don't
typical
do it.
life.
Don't do it.
And I really feel like I've avoided it for better or worse. And it's been
Yeah.
I'm always poor. But like you're another one of those people. I'm like, he is not having an ordinary life at all. He is
Yeah.
going for it.
We only get to live once.
Yeah.
I mean, working in the zoo seems cool. Do you want to like say that you pushed papers back and forth in front of the computer your whole life?
No, never.
I think
And I haven't.
there's different ways to have wealth and be rich.
Yeah, are you kidding me? I'm currently taking care of a critically endangered Sumatran tiger cub at the zoo.
Thank you, Mike. That is freaking amazing. How many people can say they did that?
Not a lot, not
3% of the
many.
population at the most.
Yeah, and so like I'm doing really cool shit. I've kept it sort of separate from this sort of podcast world because like sometimes this gets graphic and pornographic and graphic, but in my other worlds very tidy. But
Yeah.
I still to this day worry about slipping in and all of a sudden having an ordinary life. But
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not going to happen to us. We're going to keep it extraordinary.
I think so. You know what?
Those are life goals.
Yeah, let's keep it extraordinary.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I love walking around your apartment, like seeing your walls. I'm like,
No,
kidding
thank
me?
you. I just had to go throw my soda out. I was drinking a soda pop.
Are you sober? Is that too much to ask? Are you sober?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know
and I have been
sobriety-
for a long time, since San Francisco.
Okay, I know sobriety is a lot. Sometimes a lot of my friends are, and sometimes that plays a daily role in their life as how they like socialize and live their lives. It was just a random question. I thought you might be. Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers to sobriety and clear thinking and better decision making. All right, so the best place for people to keep up with you and see all these projects you have coming up and just find your work.
They can call me personally and ask me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just give them out my number and give them my email, and they can look online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to use
the same way you got a hold of me.
Yeah, I tend to, you were very fast, which was nice because sometimes I throw messages out to people that are sort of like maybe a little bit out of my touch, like people that I want to interview, and like I just don't think. No, I don't even think that. Oh, they're not responding. I think they're just not.
They can always.
not
I have a MySpace.
filtered.
They can go to my MySpace page and send me a message.
That still exists.
Yeah, find that. I'm on MySpace and Friendster, and they can find me there.
Or you can find me on my Tumblr blog. Yeah.
Yeah, find me on my Tumblr blog. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk, and I just can't wait to
Mike,
see what you're going to do
you're
next.
awesome, Mike. Mike,
You're
you're
awesome
awesome.
too.
Thank you.
Um,
You're the best.
and we'll
It
we'll
was
talk
great. It was
soon.
great to connect with you
Yeah, next time we're in
and
the
to
same
see you
city.
again and get
Yeah,
to know you a little bit better.
yeah. I'm a little
Just
bit.
a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm a little bit quirky. I'm a little bit of a mystery. But like I at this age, this is what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
know what I'm
was nice
saying?
to just get that little bit more of a bond with you
Yeah.
in. More to be revealed, I hope.
To be continued.
Yeah. Maybe I'll
All
stop
right.
by San Diego.
Yeah, if you're ever on the West Coast, I'm so close to Palm Springs, so close to LA. I'm like 2 hours either way, so I'm like basically right in the middle.
Nice.
Like if this were a leg and this was a leg, I'm like the butthole. On that note, all right, buddy. Thanks for
Thank
talking, and
you.
we will
Thank you.
talk
Thank you.
soon.
All right. Talk to you
Bye.
later.